Hi everyone, welcome back. This is video 2 for day 4. We were just talking about interviewing, and I wanted to kind of close out with, on this section anyway, with some of the common interview questions so you can be prepared. Now, there's 15,000 books on there. I don't want to waste your time or energy going through all of the basic questions, like the layup questions, like tell me about yourself. You should have an answer for that. It should be about 2.5 minutes long. It should be relevant to your work experience. It should have very little to do with where you grew up. A lot of people start talking about, oh, tell me about myself. Well, I grew up in, you know, Louisiana, and I played on the high school basketball team. That's not what they want to hear. They want to hear about your work life and a bit of personal information. That's the way it should be balanced. But some of the questions that you'll need to be prepared for that are specifically relevant to Odesk and the freelance life are right here on the page: your availability, how you can sync it up with them, um, how you communicate, what are the jobs you currently have on Odesk, because obviously as a freelancer you're going to juggle, you're going to juggle quite a few at any one given time, and so they want to make sure that you're available and that you're not overloaded. Have you done similar jobs? Give me examples of that or samples of that. This job involves X. What's your experience with that? These are fairly basic questions. I'll leave it for you to figure them out and answer them, but I would take the time to do so. All right. When it comes to interviewing, you'll need a few pieces of information, a few tools, just in case, because different employers have different preferences. In general, Skype is a tool which we'll talk about a bit later as well. Yahoo Instant Messenger, and of course either your personal email or more likely Odesk Messaging Center. I'd like to show you these briefly. Okay, I'm going to sign out of this and sign back into. There we go. First of all, in terms of your personal email, most of your interviewing will be handled, it should be handled, inside the Odesk interface or the website. And this section that says notifications, all that is ultimately is email. As you go back and forth sending messages, it'll start to stack up and show you have notifications or mail. So a lot of it will be handled there. However, a lot of employers prefer to use Skype. 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 Skype is internet phone, and it's very cost effective. You can call anywhere. You hook headphones up to your computer. It goes over the internet, and it's very simple, very cheap. So a lot of times, if your position with freelancing requires you to make phone calls, especially long distance phone calls, I can't recommend Skype enough. Actually, as I said, we're not affiliated in any way, but everyone uses it. It's de facto standard because it is so good and so cheap, and it allows you to work anywhere where there's an internet connection and do long distance calls. If you're in customer service and or telesales, many people use Skype as their application. You sign up here, and they give you discounts, things like that. No problem. Obviously, Yahoo Instant Messenger, I'm not even going to go there. You guys know what that is. You can go to yahoo.com, download the Instant Messenger. Again, that's kind of the de facto standard of communication. There is an Odesk team template which allows you to do chat, and you'll be using that. We'll talk about that later on today. But in general, Yahoo Instant Messenger is the standard for communicating when it comes to just instant message. So those are the tools that you'll need, because oftentimes an employer will want to communicate in one of those, either a chat box or a Skype call, or just back and forth on the Odesk Message Center. That's the least likely, but you need to go ahead and get used to that one. Okay, that being said, let's go ahead and move on to you're hired. Now, After the interview process, they'll hire you. The person will hire you. You need to confirm with a note in your message in the Odesk Message Center, with a thank you note. Essentially, the thank you note not only acts to transition from the hiring phase and the interviewing phase to the actual working phase. It's a confirmation that you're officially hired. They need to go ahead and hire you on Otis. It's literally a process they have to take to hire you. They have to click on hire you and add you to the team room. That thank you note is actually a reminder to go ahead and do so as soon as possible, and it also obviously is very polite. Now, when it comes to getting hired, after you send the thank you note, what you want to do is then you can pass personal information back and forth. You can get the Skype numbers, you can get instant messaging, you can get cell phone numbers, all of that can be traded. And it's important to go ahead and do that. That way they can get in touch with you as needed, and you can do the vice versa. Obviously, it needs to be a work phone or a work situation where, just like any other job, you are trading your, a means to get in touch with you. That includes a cell phone in most cases. The reason that's important is you want to get as much detail. You want to interface with your employer as soon as possible. Don't wait a day. Don't wait on them to contact you. You want to show that you are aggressive to get the job done for them. You're not wasting time. So once you have that ability to exchange information, what you want to do is talk about the job in as much detail as you possibly can. Talk about the job or the work or the scope of the work, depending on what type of position you have and what type of job you've taken on. So you can write down details. Those details will help you set expectations later on down the line. If there's ever a dispute or discrepancy, you can refer back to those notes and say, well, this is what I expected to do and what you agreed to. I'm not sure what else needs to be done. Then you need to talk about what is expected on a daily basis, not just the overall project or the overall job, but on a day-to-day basis. What is it that we need to accomplish daily to move forward with this project or to move forward with this job. That includes the next one, which is the schedules and deadlines. This is critical for you to write out and to have on your calendar. Not all jobs, if it's an ongoing job, then it's a matter of schedule and maybe with some deadlines, but obviously if it's project based, typically it's a deadline. They're trying to accomplish something. If it is scheduled, just figure out now, okay, you are in Central Time Zone in the United States of America. Well, if your work hours and you want me to work on the work hours are from 9 a.m. till 4 p.m. daily, well then, heck, depending on my time zone, I may have to work some unusual hours. But you have to keep that in mind before you get hired. If it's going to be a problem, that should come out in the interview. It should be one of your questions. Do you expect me to work at the same times that you during your normal work day? If it's yes, and you know that puts you working at 2 a.m., you're on the other side of the planet, then maybe you should move on and find another position. Now, communication. This is probably a key. Establishing your line of communication is critical. How does your employer like to work? Now, you will be using the Odesk Team application. But in general, when it comes to just kind of talking about and scheduling and trying to connect, is it cell phone calls? Is it instant messaging? Is it email? How do they like to communicate? That way you're working with whatever is easiest for them. Other thing I'd say about communication is communicate often. Communicate progress often. That way if there's an issue or you're not right on track, it allows them to kind of guide you without being overbearing or boschish. That's not the point of freelancing is not to have another boss. But they obviously want to get the job done. So if you're communicating clearly the progress you're making and what you're headed, it allows them to make corrections on the fly. You'll need to find out about the team. If there's an extended team, a lot of times freelancers on Odesk, when they get hired, they become part of a resource or part of a team. You'll want to find out who else is on the team, what the pecking order is or the organizational chart, who you need to go to if there's a problem or an issue. And the last thing is the resources available. A lot of times an employer will supply you with software, supply you with something, or tell you where to go online to find the resources necessary to do the job. Alright, we're going to stop right there. We'll pick up in just a bit. Talk to you soon.